Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Broadband Deployment News. The state of Colorado has had a restrictive law as far as broadband goes, not as bad as some states, but it's been in place since 2005. But there's some legislation now that may roll that back. We'll be right back and we'll talk about it. Hey there, Rick Uzzi with Zquorum with Broadband Deployment News. As I mentioned, the state of Colorado has had since 2005 a law in place that prevents them from getting into the broadband business, even participating in a public-private partnership. If there's a broadband, really, if there's any, not just broadband, if there's any service provider in town, they can't do that, no matter how poor the service or slow the service might be, unless they have an election and everybody agrees, the citizens vote that in. And they've had, I talked about this back in January, I think, because there's just been a number of municipalities that have gone ahead with an election and they've approved it. So there's well over 100 now of towns, cities, whatever, in Colorado that are able to offer broadband because they had to have an election. The people want it, and this particular legislation would take away that and make it more clear what type of service we're talking about. And then also, again, not just remove restrictions on the city getting into broadband, but also public-private partnerships, open access networks, those kinds of things. So this is, I'll go ahead and I've already linked actually in the description to this particular page here where you can get more information about this. Is just kind of a summary here, but you can also, I think you can get the bill here. And I wanted to look first, before I looked at this proposed bill, I wanted to look at the one that's in place since 2005 and just look at that. So this is what this is meant to address. So you see here, again, this was passed 2005, Article 27, Competition and Utility and Entertainment Services, Part 1, Competition and Utility and Entertainment Services. So 2005, a long time ago. So it's talking about cable TV as well as what they call advanced, telecommunication services and advanced services. And when they say advanced services here, this is what they used to call it back then, means high-speed internet access capability in excess of 256 kilobits per second, both upstream and downstream. So back then, if you had 256K symmetrical, that would be considered advanced services. So they didn't call it broadband at the time. So as we're reading through this, that's what they're referring to in this bill. So you see here, limitations on providing cable TV, telecom, and advanced services. So again, internet of 256K symmetrical. Except as provided in this article, local government shall not provide to one or more subscribers cable television service, telecom service, or advanced service. So they can't provide that directly to a subscriber. Purchase, lease, construct, maintain, or operate any facility for the purpose of providing cable TV, telecom service, or advanced service to one or more subscribers. For purposes of this article, local government provides cable TV, telecom, or advanced service if the local government provides the service to one or more subscribers. So again, directly. So they can't set this up and then sell it directly, or, and they say indirectly, by means that include but not limited to the following, through an authority or instrument acting on behalf of the local government or for the benefit of the local government by itself. So in other words, they can't set up a shell company, I guess, and call it something different, or through a partnership or joint venture. So they can't do a public-private partnership, through sale and leaseback arrangement, by contract, including a contract whereby the local government leases, sells capacity in, or grants other similar rights to a private provider to use local government facilities designed or constructed to provide cable TV service, telecom service, or advanced service for internal local government purposes in connection with a private provider's offering of cable TV service, telecom service, or advanced service. In other words, I think that takes out the whole open access network thing where the municipality can put in the infrastructure and just let private internet service providers come along on that, including service providers that might already be in the area. Then they've got conditions here, and this is where the crux is, that you can do this in certain situations. So you have to have a vote before local government may engage or offer to engage in providing cable TV service, telecom service, advanced service. An election shall be called on whether or not the local government shall provide the proposed services. The ballot An election conducted pursuant to this section shall pose the question as a single subject, which is probably good that they wrote it that way for those that want to go over the heads of this, because it's easier to get something passed if you've got a very clear subject. So it shall be a single subject and shall include a description of the nature of the proposed service, the role that the local government will have in provision of the service, and the intended subscribers of such service. The ballot proposition shall not take effect until submitted to the electors and approved by the majority of those voting on the ballot. So, this is definitely a hurdle. Maybe somebody had good intentions at the time, was saying, well, if the people are going to be paying taxes, they should have a say in whether the government does this. Maybe that was part of the reason for doing this. But of course, there's always that question of trying to, be getting lobbied by telecom companies in the area that don't want competition like this, because it means that they have to do a better job. So, because if somebody's in the area and they're doing a good job, then it's less likely that the municipality is going to take the time to get into the business. If there's already a provider that's covering the area, not just portions of the area that are profitable for them, but the entire area. There might be some areas where maybe low income or fewer customers that the municipality controls that the incumbent provider may not want to do. So that quite often is the reason that that municipalities get in this, because they're in the core areas where they have service, but in other areas they want to make sure that they're providing all their citizens broadband. So the ballot at an election conducted pursuant to this section shall, I said that already. Okay, here we go. So exemption for unserved areas. A local government shall be exempt from the requirements of this Part 2 and may engage or offer to engage providing cable TV service, telecom, advanced services, if no private provider of these services is anywhere within the boundaries of the local government. And I should say, actually, no private provider of cable TV, telecom service, or advanced service. I want to highlight that again here. Provides the service anywhere within the boundaries of the local government. Because if you'll remember, advanced service means 20 or 256K symmetrical. So if there's a provider in town that's providing anything over 256K, even that would really stink as a service if it was, let's say, not much over that, or even, a DSL provider, they're not providing, let's say it's less than 25/3. Okay. So, but it's over 256K symmetrical. Well, that would not be an exemption then. The governing body of the local government has submitted a written request to provide the service to any incumbent provider of cable television service, telecom service, or advanced services within the boundaries of the government. So they've got to submit that written request. The incumbent provider has not agreed within 60 days of the receipt of a request submitted pursuant to paragraph 5 of the subsection 1 to provide the service, or if the provider has agreed, it has not commenced providing the service within 14 months of the receipt of the request. So you can see this would really be slow rolling this request. So this has been a problem. Although what local communities and cities have done is they've just had elections and done this. Of course, there's a cost related to that. So you've got to put all of that together, have an election, get the vote, and then you can get in the business. And like I say, well over 100, I think it's 120, somewhere between 120 and 140 or so municipalities in Colorado have taken the step and have gotten approval to do this from the voters. So that is what's in place, but it would be best, obviously, if other communities that want to do this don't have to go through that process. So there's a bill that has been proposed, and it's, they're calling it a bipartisan bill. You've got 4 folks referenced here, 2 senators and 2 representatives. 2 are Democrat, 2 are Republicans. I think all told, though, there's 10 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Still bipartisan because you got 2 Republicans signed on. But, as you often see in these cases, the Republicans are less likely to want to do this because they're going to be more pro-free market. But the issue is, in some of these cases, the free market just doesn't step in sometimes, because we've got this situation where just the cost to provide the service is too high in certain areas, and you don't have your private companies in to come do that. So that's one of the reasons that we have broadband funds that are coming out now from various programs like ARPA and RDOF and USDA Reconnect, those kinds of things. That's why we've got a lot of money waiting from the BEAD program, is to be able to help companies afford to go in there and serve these areas. So this is the bill that's being proposed. You see here, concerning the elimination of the requirement that a local government obtain voter approval to provide certain communication services. And just a couple of things that it does. It replaces the term advanced service with broadband internet service. That's good. So that advanced service of certainly the 256K symmetrical is ridiculous. But, back in 2005, that was kind of the way things were. That's what they called it. And that was considered decent service back then. If I remember correctly, I don't know. It's been a while. I think it was. And then the other thing is we should be calling it broadband internet service because it, as they say here, is currently defined. So it doesn't reference the speed at which the internet service is provided. So you just basically say broadband service and whatever that is as defined as. So right now with the FCC, that's 25 by 3. Could be 100 by 20 or even 100 symmetrical at some time in the future when they make the next jump. And then it'll go up from there. So you're just calling it broadband and then however that's defined. So you're not locked into something like 256K symmetrical. Eliminates the requirement that a local government hold an election before providing or before operating a facility to provide services. Eliminates the requirement that a local government hold an election. Same thing. To enter into a private partnership to allow private provider to use local government facilities. Specifies that a local government may provide middle mile infrastructure. A couple other things in there. Modifies the definition of broadband internet services currently defined in the law concerning interstate telecommunications services. So that may be in the local end. And then you scroll down through here, you'll see that you've got various things in the original bill that are crossed out, like an advanced, and put in broadband internet service. So you can see the changes marked up right in here. So again, I've linked to this main page here, and I will see if I can find again where the PDF documents are, because I didn't see it immediately on that for both this bill, the old bill, and the new bill. And I'll add that to the description later if I can find those. So anyway, this will be good for Colorado to, again, be able to, hopefully the communities are going to make the right decision on whether to offer broadband or not. So if there's somebody in the area that is providing good broadband service, at high speeds, and they're providing good service and the pricing is reasonable, it's reasonable enough to where they don't feel they need to go into the business for competitive reasons to maybe bring the price down. Because, it's not free to the citizens, and most likely they're going to have to put some of the bill, sometimes it can be done in such a way that it's not. But if a city, municipality, or whatever already has good service, it's not going to be able to get funds, any federal funds, because it will already be over the 25 by 3 minimum and really over the 100 by 20 for underserved, really to not be eligible for any funds. So the municipalities really should only be doing this in areas where it would be needed. So if they've got pockets of territory that could use service, then there are options for that from either the incumbent provider, one or more incumbent providers that are there, or the city may be doing something like that. So there are options, but this will certainly make it easy for those areas where, again, you've got an incumbent provider that's not providing good service and hasn't done anything to upgrade that, isn't being responsive, or maybe areas where they just don't have service in certain areas of that community. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If this was helpful or you like this, if you can maybe like on the video, I appreciate that. Thank you. And if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, ring the bell to be notified when I'm live. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.